Andrew Higgins wasn't a general. He wasn't an engineer with a fancy degree. He was a rough-talking, stubborn shipbuilder who designed boats for hunters and loggers navigating Louisiana's shallow waters. His boats had something unusual, a flat bottom that allowed them to skim over marshes and sandbars, and a shallow draft that let them get right up to shore. Fishermen loved them. The Navy, not so much. In the late 1930s, Higgins tried to sell his designs to the U.S. military. They turned him down repeatedly. Too unconventional, too risky. Higgins was furious. He believed they were making a fatal mistake. Higgins, you want to fight a war without getting your men ashore. Good luck. Navy officer, we'll stick to our standard craft, Mr. Higgins. Still, he kept tinkering, adding a bow ramp so soldiers could charge straight onto land instead of climbing over the sides. It was a small change, but it would prove revolutionary. When World War II exploded, the U.S. suddenly realized they had a problem. The Pacific Islands were surrounded by shallow reefs. The beaches of Europe were defended like fortresses, and none of their ships could land tanks or troops directly on shore. The brass came crawling back to Higgins. In 1941, the Navy tested his landing craft, vehicle, personnel, LCVP, later nicknamed the Higgins boat. It could carry 36 fully armed soldiers, hit the beach at full speed, drop its ramp, and have men storming the shore in seconds. Tanks and jeeps could roll out just as fast. General Dwight D. Eisenhower would later say, "Andrew Higgins is the man who won the war for us." That's no small statement, coming from the man who commanded D-Day itself. It's dawn on June 6, 1944. Over 4,000 Higgins boats are carrying Allied troops toward the beaches of Normandy. The water is icy. The air smells of salt and diesel. In each boat, soldiers grip their rifles, their faces pale under their helmets. The metal ramp in front of them rattles with every wave. They know that when it drops, they'll be staring into machine gun fire. The Higgins boats charge through the surf, ignoring the mines, the obstacles, the chaos. They hit the sand. Slam, ramps crash down. Soldiers pour out in a human wave. Some fall instantly. Others make it to cover. Larger ships could never get this close. Without the Higgins design, the landings might have been a slaughter before they even began. Andrew Higgins wasn't on the beach that day. He was in his shipyard building more boats for more invasions. By the war's end, his company had produced over 20,000 landing craft. The irony: Higgins was famously difficult to work with, demanding, hot-tempered, and unwilling to compromise. But maybe that's exactly why he succeeded. After the war, his boats were credited not just with D-Day, but with victories in the Pacific, at Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. Without Higgins, the Allies might have been trapped at sea, unable to land where they needed to fight. Andrew Higgins died in 1952, largely forgotten outside military circles. But to the men who stepped off his boats into the firestorm of Normandy, he was nothing less than a savior. Eisenhower's words still echo through history. If Higgins had not designed and built those LCVPs, we never could have landed over an open beach. The whole strategy of the war would have been different. So the next time you see black and white footage of soldiers charging into battle on D-Day, remember the man behind the steel ramp. He didn't fire a shot. He didn't storm the beach. But in his own way, Andrew Higgins won the war. History is full of heroes you've never heard of. Inventors, engineers, ordinary people who shaped the fate of nations. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more untold history. Who knows? The next hero we cover might just change the way you see the world.